Cool. So thank you guys so much for joining me. This is, as I like to put it, the best class ever. I figured I would be joined today by all of my other 2015, well, not all of them, but some of my other 2015 30 under 30 recipients to talk about all of the crazy stuff that's happening right now, all of the crazy stuff we're seeing. We have a good mix of literally from across the country. So a ton of different markets. And I mean, like, anybody kick it off. Tell me, what are you guys seeing right now? Like, what's happening in your markets right now? Anyone?
It's kind of been interesting. We're in a state, I'm in Oregon. I'm in Central Oregon. I'm in Bend. We are still considered essential. We've always been considered essential. So our business hasn't had to stop or anything, but just everything is different, from showing a house to, helping your seller prep a home, being respectful when you're showing a home. That whole process has totally changed. I don't know what you guys are, if you guys are still showing and selling and what's happening. I feel like the more serious buyers and the more serious sellers are the ones that are in the market right now. And I don't think that business has, stopped, but it's definitely slowed a little bit.
Yeah, and it probably feels different. Kate shared when she hopped on before we kicked off. You're moving today, Kate. So first off, thanks for coming and doing this on your moving day. But of all times to move, like, you really are getting what your clients feel like, especially in the middle of all of this, huh?
Yeah, it worked out really well for us, though. We closed before the stay-at-home order was in place, but we were remodeling when the stay-at-home order went into place. So luckily, tradespeople are considered essential, and our house is really small. I'm in Southern California in San Diego, and our house is small, so there weren't a lot of people here at any one point. But yeah, we've definitely been in the thick of it. And our spring market started really early. I feel like that happened kind of across the board. Like February was absolutely bananas here, and so it was definitely interesting getting some of those transactions closed. One of my listings, the buyer was in the Navy, stationed in Japan, and their agent called, and we were able to get it closed. But their agent called me yesterday saying that they have to put the house up for rent because they have no idea when the Navy is going to let them transfer here.
Oh, wow.
So really, and that we had like 16 offers on that house, and those people wanted it so bad. So I'm crushed for them. But yeah, it's definitely been interesting.
Yeah. So Allison, Saliq, Eric, I know as well, and Tara. Allison and Saliq are kind of in similar markets, but I know your market has been like bananas for a long time. So tell me, how has have you seen anything shift in this, or has it been something that you can also help buyers or help sellers get better deals during all of this? Like, what's some stuff that's kind of shifting as you're navigating all this?
Allison, you want to start and I'll pitch in because I'm kind of west. I'm more west than that. Allison's like in the middle, so I'll let her start.
Sure. So yeah, I'm in Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. market. And we saw basically the first 3 months of the year were insane. Like every single listing, every single offer we wrote on was multiple offers, no contingencies, escalations, well above asking. And so we saw just kind of a crazy start to the year. Now we're still considered essential, so things haven't totally shut down, but we're certainly seeing a slowdown, which I think has been really good for our buyers, which they're able to actually get contingencies through in a contract. So I think that's been like the biggest change we've seen. And we've also seen a ton of things selling off market, where sellers are saying, I don't really want to put it on the open market. I don't want a ton of people through, but if you have someone or you know of someone who might be a good fit, we're happy to show it. So I think that's been the two big shifts that I've seen, at least with our clients. And I think really the last week and a half, 2 weeks, we've seen a lot more people wanting to get back in the game. So I think that's been positive.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, totally agree with her. So in beginning of the year, like I'm more buyer heavy too. So I was getting 11 offers to beat, and it has slowed down, but we're still getting multiple offers, even out west. I mean, I also do Maryland, DC. It's really slowed down in the Maryland. I had a couple of buyers who kind of just said, hey, we want to wait to see what happens after the fact. They had a little different rules in Maryland versus over here in Virginia as well. So in Virginia, though, I'm still seeing multiple offers. I'm just not seeing 11 now that I'm competing with. I'm competing with 2 or 3. And like Allison said, I was even able to get like my home inspection contingency in the house just because I felt like the house needed to be inspected and negotiated after the fact. But that being said, we did have to go over like $10,000 of the last sold comp just to procure the house because the other offer, there were multiple offers still. So yeah, we've had slowed down with new, like I had a lot of things on the pipeline, and hasn't stopped at all. I've only had one person back out of my pipeline that I've already some from last year. But other than that, I've had nobody else really slow down. Anybody who was thinking of selling, buying, their weddings got off put. Most of my clients, they're getting married. Every single one there's 3 weddings that I got pushed. I was part of one, but they still went ahead and bought a house. There's a buy and a sell. I just listed a house today as well in Reston. So we're still moving from the people that pre-planned this stuff. Going with new business, that has slowed down. People have reached out, but they're not filling out the application, getting the pre-approvals. Typically, it's fairly easy for me to get them started there. A lot of people are like, hey, let's just see what happens, in June, and then we'll decide. So a lot of the newer client is doing that. Just want to see, and if they have flexibility as far as their, lease and things like that. But I totally agree with Allison. The market was so crazy that you know how agents sometimes act, like we forget what the norm is. Like people were putting the houses on the market on Wednesday. They have multiple offers on Wednesday. So like by the time the Sunday comes in, like you have 10 offers. So you're competing with that. And we thought that was the norm, which was only, I would say, beginning of this year, late last year. And if you guys know, our market is also getting the hype from Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, these big players coming out and establishing, their locations over here as well. So not only that we're government backed, we also have backing of all these tech companies coming in our area. So I personally am noticing that it is kind of, or at least my assumption is that it is finally, it's been such a seller's market in our area that finally I'm seeing a trend that it might go over to a buyer's market. And I'm hoping for that because I am, predominantly, I do chase more buyers because most of the people in my SOI are buying their first homes. So that's, typically that's how I stay busy. But at any given time though, like right now, it's like everybody's kind of just waiting, seeing what happens. Most of my newer clients or the future clients, I'm telling them as well that, hey, we might shift over to a buyer's market, but we don't know that exactly if it's going to happen this year when the stay-at-home orders are lifted and then everybody goes on the market, or next year, next spring, everybody shoots for that. And now we have an influx of inventory because we've been lacking inventory in our area a lot.
I think what we've seen is a shift from like a heavy seller's market to almost a more balanced market. And it almost depends on like the exact sub-market. So like some areas are still super, super hot, multiple offers, and others that were hot are now kind of like normal.
Yeah.
Eric, how are you talking to your clients about kind of this shift in expectations too? Because I mean, you're in Boston. It was a hot, crazy market, not all that dissimilar to DC for a long time. Not only what have you seen, but how do you have that conversation with your clients? Like, what are you saying to them?
I think that's the big thing, and it touches on both what Kate was saying. We had the stats are misleading here because it looks like we're way up year over year in terms of closings, but all of that business is from January and February before to, a stay-at-home order or anything like that. I think for me right now, the biggest thing is navigating those sub-markets Allison was just talking about, because we're essential all across the state. In Boston, I'm allowed to go on showings, do inspections, but if I go 5 miles north to Medford, showings aren't allowed. In-person showings aren't allowed. In Winchester, which is just a little bit more north than that, you're only allowed to have 3 people in a property at the same time. So it's if the listing agent's there and I'm there as a buyer's agent and I have a couple, it's like, who's allowed in the house at what time? So for us, it is really setting those expectations up front, having those conversations and letting people know what to expect. We've been trying to, lead with clarity, and for our listings, we have a sheet literally that says what to expect at the showing on one side. And it is, here's the buyer or the seller situation. So in one case, we have a medical professional with a toddler. So that's why they're asking us to take all of these precautions. And that's the second column. And we're going to stay 6 feet apart. You're going to have to wear a mask. You're going to have to wear booties, so on and so forth. And then on the back, there's a health questionnaire that they have to fill out before we'll show a property. The other thing with both other agents and our buyers, we're telling folks we need to have an updated pre-approval within 48 hours of a showing, because the lending environment's changing so rapidly and so drastically. Someone's qualified one day, and then an investor says we're no longer going to take a 680 credit score. You have to have a 700 plus. So we're asking for pre-approvals dated within 48 hours of the showing request, and then for them to assert that they've gone through the 3D tour and also sign off on that health questionnaire before we'll even consider a showing at any of our listings. So we know that it's only serious buyers out there. And then from the buyer perspective, I had a first-time buyer that I was with yesterday, and it was just very important when we got on the phone the first time to say, this isn't going to be usual. It's already a stressful situation, but it's going to feel different, and it's going to feel weird when we're 6 feet apart and when you're asking me questions and I have a mask on. It's been a very, very unique and surreal environment in some ways, but it's still chugging along for those people that are prepared.
Yeah, I love that point of leading with clarity, because I think right now so much that's happening is just unconventional. We're kind of figuring out how to navigate this. At the same time, we're trying to lead our clients how to navigate this. And so I love the point of just being like really transparent about why you're doing certain things and what else, is changing. So Tara, I'm curious, they always joke that, right now you've got to come out of quarantine with like a new skill or a new hobby or something great, or your business is going to be like, I joke with our other fellow 30 under 30 Wayne Salmons that everybody's having the best pandemic ever. And so I mean, it's my first one, so I don't really know. I don't have anything to judge it by, but I'm curious, like, what are you really focused on during this time? Has it allowed you to kind of peel the layers back a little bit as well and really kind of dig deep about some stuff?
I love that question. I think the answer is yes. And the focus right now has really just been the family, spending time with the kids. I don't want to say, I hope that we never get this opportunity again, in the sense that it's uncharted territory and just such a strange time, but we may never get this chance again. So we're trying to really soak up, every minute that we can with the kids and the family and stuff. Our market, kind of to circle back to the last question in a little way, is very interesting right now. So we are Central Florida, 10 miles or less door to door from our home and where our office is located to the gates of Magic Kingdom, Walt Disney World, and all the arteries that go from that. So the parks being closed, the hotels being, Central Florida being centered on tourism has had a massive, massive effect. So we're just kind of taking it day by day, honestly, and to see what we can do to help the community, help those that are struggling right now due to layoffs and furloughs, and, just enjoying the time with the family.
Absolutely. So I know this kind of applies to all of you guys, because I think everyone on this call has done such a good job of building their business through their community and through their sphere. Everybody's home right now. So what are you guys doing that's really cool to reach out to folks, or maybe that's different or even the same from what you used to do? How are you staying in touch with folks? What are you talking to them about?
I mean, from our perspective here in Boston, we've tripled down on social media, basically, in terms of how we're advertising our listings. So I think my buyers agents are really happy with that. They seem to be, because we're getting a ton of new leads for them. And we're doing twice weekly Facebook Lives with local business owners. So, it was just touched on by Tara that, folk like giving back to your community, and we want to be beacons during this time. We're not selling real estate, we're selling communities, right? At the end of the day, a lot of times. So we've been trying to establish contact with local business owners and kind of help them through this process. And I think, at least in our state, and in a lot of other states, there was this perception that like it was going to be, and everything was just going to start again, and we're going to have this rush of sales. And it's become, abundantly apparent that is not going to be the case, at least here in the Boston area. So we're going to continue championing our local businesses and making sure that they're going to be getting back on their feet, because that's what really makes a community. So that's what we've been focusing on with our folks.
Yeah, I love that. And is anybody else doing something really cool in the community?
Sorry, go ahead. I'm not doing anything.
Go ahead, Jordan.
No, I'm not doing anything cool. You go, Allison.
No, you go.
So for me, like I never really followed up, because I felt like, right now we got a lot, every single company gave us an email about COVID, right? So I didn't want to be that guy who's doing the same thing, right? So I wanted to like touch him touch him in a different way and give him some information. So I've been like I really bought a bunch of masks because I saw James Nellis, another 30 to 30 do it. I was like, that's a great idea. I bought like a couple of, a lot of alcohol, and I'm just kind of going around whenever I'm in a place that I know that I'm going to stop by. I'll just put it at the door and text the guy like, hey, there's a bottle on your front porch and things like that. So I've been very proactive with my SOI and my past clients. For example, instead of doing like, I love that idea that Eric is doing as far as going to restaurants, but I have a past client who is a restaurateur, and he has a couple of restaurants and he's hurting right now, but he has another business. That's where I got the mask. And I'm like I'm going through my whole brokerage, talking to my brokerage, telling them to use this guy, and he's getting referrals from me, so I'm kind of narrowing down and seeing how I could help my people, like very, very close net, rather than just broad, going out and trying to do something. But I'm reaching out to every past client, in SOI as much as I can.
I love that. Allison, you've got two little really adorable boys that I see. I was joking with Allison before we started the call that I don't let my kids look at her Instagram because she's always doing such fun, cool activities. But I've loved what you're doing as well on social media, where you're sharing some of that. What did you make? Did you make slime or Play-Doh or something?
Play-Doh, yeah.
And you're teaching people how to do it, because I think, like, we're in week 6 of this? People are running out of things to do. And I know I speak for myself with 2 kids at home, like homeschool takes part of the day, but then we're all home. And so I love what you're doing, staying in touch. Have you gotten a good response from kind of your sphere about that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so I think always on social media, for me, I get the most interaction on things I do with my kids. Anything really kid related, like stuff in my house that's good for kids, things like that, and local restaurants. So I try to always like do a lot with both of those things. And so I think especially now it's really easy to do a lot with both of those. And I've definitely seen a big increase in engagement because obviously everyone is bored and on social media. So I think that's been really big. And on our team social media, we've been doing a takeover Tuesday with a local restaurant every week. We started a GoFundMe page to raise money to essentially deliver dinner to our local hospital, 100 meals every Tuesday at shift change to reach as many people as possible. And we're doing a different local restaurant each week to try to support a local business and thank our healthcare workers. And that's been a really great way to get a lot more engagement from our clients. And we're seeing like local publications have picked it up. So we've gotten a lot of good press. People are emailing us like, thank you so much for doing this. I wanted to help. I didn't know how. So we're almost at our goal for doing it through our the stay-at-home order in Virginia. So next we're going to shift, if we continue to get money sent in, we're going to shift to other local charities and how we can support those.
I love this. One thing that's always struck me about our group, not just on this call, but the 30 Under 30 network in general, is everybody's such good stewards of their local community. So I've seen some amazing stuff come out of this group during this time. I'm curious, one of the things that Allison hit on that I think is an important part to kind of note too is, when you're talking about your sphere, a lot of her clients are focused on the stuff with her kids and stuff like that. But, I think about where some of my clients come. from a lot of my clients come from the gym, because that's kind of my sphere that I don't share with my wife. And so I'm getting a lot of engagement on some of the like at home workout stuff that I'm doing. And so I think that the big take home point from what all of you guys are saying is, you know, doubling down on the people you knew before this and the people who were really building your business up before this. I love this point. So tell me, you know, what's something, Jordan, we'll go to you first. What's something that you feel like you were doing before all this? Everyone keeps saying, you know, this is our quote unquote new normal. And we're all kind of figuring out how to navigate this. But I think there's a lot of things that we did before this that probably made us pretty well positioned to navigate this pandemic and situation that we're in. What's some stuff that you were doing before all of this that you're like, man, I'm so thankful I was doing that, and it's really going to help me get through this as well?
You know, I think it's just really connecting with your clients and your sphere and your network, and, you know, other realtors like you. It's a very referral based business. So, you know, really just connecting with people. And I was going to say earlier that, like, for me during all of this, I've sort of taken a step back. I have been a little bit less aggressive. I don't go to the office every day. I just totally have changed my ways, but I'm like reaching out to the people that are my network, that I just a simple phone call or a text and just saying, hey, how you guys doing through this? Like, let me know if you need anything, that type of thing. You know, so I think it's just really staying in touch with your network. And then also, you know, I think it's really important to be the trusted real estate source for your network and continuing to know what's going on with your market, and, you know, being knowledgeable, and, you know, lending's changing, everything's changing, and just really staying on top of that. And then also, you know, I've had some people that are like, okay, we need to list this right now. Everything's going to end. I'm like, well, maybe don't be so reactionary. And it's sitting down and having conversations with them, you know, just like a normal market, but it's, you know, taking the normal market with COVID involved. And, you know, it's like, it's a real estate pause, but maybe it's not a pause. And, you know, we're going to come out of this. And, you know, I think that it's just sitting down and having real conversations with your clients that are in difficult situations, you know, where maybe they have to sell, you know, maybe they own a restaurant or a business that can't sustain this for, you know, inevitably, you know, and it's just having those conversations and, you know, being that trusted source.
Absolutely. So Kate, I know that you've kind of leveraged the network as well and stayed connected with people, but like, what do you feel like being able to stay connected with other agents from around the country has done to help you navigate this situation?
Oh, it's invaluable. I took one of the ideas, I think it was Leslie Moen on our bigger call about the Teacher of the Year award. Those are going out this week. I think it was her, I can't remember, but to all the moms or dads that are doing doing homeschooling, just to make them feel seen and heard, because if anything is unsustainable, it's moms and dads working from home with, you know, also trying to figure out, you know, elementary, you know, whatever it is that they have to work on. So making sure they feel seen and heard, and just bouncing ideas off of each other, you know, it really truly is invaluable in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. I have a third and fourth grader, and I've done more third and fourth grade math than I think I did in third and fourth grade.
And they do math differently now, right? Like,
yes, no, I'm like, yes, I do not understand
how you got there, you know. Like,
yes, exactly. Yeah. I keep teaching them to count with their fingers, but apparently that's not how you are allowed to do it anymore. But that's so fascinating. So like, let's talk time management, because I mean, speaking for myself, I've always been a super early riser in normal circumstances. But I know during the first few weeks of this, and still now, like, everything's shifted a little bit later. It's not like I'm sleeping in all day, but there's no rush to be up at 5 a.m. right now. And like, I'm not getting the kids really ready for school and hustling out the door. I think it's provided me much more time to be present in the moment, which I'm super thankful for. But how has your time management shifted for everybody? Because I know we all deal with this differently. You know, how are you keeping some sense of a routine, or are you keeping a sense of a routine? How's that working for you guys?
I have a 1-year-old at home, and I normally have a babysitter. My husband has a landscaping business, so we're both we both go to work. We both have businesses. We're both still considered essential. We're both still trying to work, but we basically, my babysitter came over to my house every, like 3 times a week for the day. And I know she babysits a couple other kids, and I'm like, I just need to be cautious during this time. I don't want, I don't know if I really want anybody in my household. So as of right now, I don't have a babysitter. So my husband and I play a fun game of tag where it's like, okay, you go to work. Okay, now you go to work. You go to work. You go to work. And, it's hard. It's like, it's there. We really don't have a certain set schedule, but we have a routine. I know he goes and gets his crews going. He can go at, 6, 7 in the morning, and then he can come back, and then I can go to work. And it's just kind of finding our balance, but it's been an adjustment because we're both used to getting up, going and doing work. And then you guys all have kids. I don't know if all of you have kids, but a lot of you have kids. You know what it's like to have a 1-year-old in the house. You can't get anything done.
That's where we're at.
All of your attention.
I have a 1-year-old, and my husband's a teacher, and he's navigating, and he's helping his district come up with how they're going to do stay at home, distance learning. And then next thing I know, Poppy's has her finger up the dog's nose, and he doesn't like that. And I'm on a call, and we're playing tag also, Jordan. Although I will say nap time is epic. I get so much done during nap time. It's unreal.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
what do during that time? Work
totally.
out.
Totally. And I think Tara's probably in my boat of the first week I was trying to restrict screen time, and now I'm like, whatever you need, kid, whatever works. But Tara, that brings up an interesting point for you. You and your husband work together, not dissimilar to me and my wife every day, which is hard enough not during a pandemic. But now you're homeschooling your kids and you're working together. There's probably a lot of togetherness, which is not all bad, but it's also not all sunshine and rainbows sometimes too, right?
A lot of togetherness. Yes. But I say in a sense that we were somewhat prepared for this because we already worked together. We already worked from home. So as far as that stuff goes, we already spent a bunch of time together and coordinated everything in our lives together, work and family. So that stuff hasn't changed that much. I think, as much as the homeschooling thing has been a challenge for both of us, it has assisted in providing some degree of structure to the day. We know kind of, okay, here's our schedule regarding time management. Here's what it's going to look like with the homeschool and the kids. Luckily, our kids are the same age. So they're a little bit more obviously self-sufficient in that sense. So they get some guidance and then they're off on their way. So that leaves us with some time to get done what we need to do for the day.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think one thing that I have kind of been doing a lot of self-reflection lately, and I want to hear from all of you guys on this, is, there's a lot of talk about this day one. Eric shared, at the beginning of this, we kind of thought we'd have a snap of our fingers, everything would open back up, then we'd be past this. And it's become abundantly clear that is not going to be the case pretty much anywhere. But it's caused me to do a whole lot of self-reflection about what has this changed about me as a human, me and my business, how I'm going to navigate moving forward. How has it changed you or your business or your life? What are you taking from this pandemic? We'll start with you, Allison.
Okay.
No pressure.
Yeah, I think I've stayed pretty consistent, I think, in my schedule and most things. I normally never work out of my house, though. I'm like a creature of habit with going to the office, and we have a fairly large team. So I like to be in person with them and be able to check in. But I've found I really like working from home as long as it's not like right before nap time when there's a lot of screaming that is happening. But I think I've realized like I really like being able to be able to pop in downstairs and play for 10 minutes on a break and come back up. And I think sort of ending my day a little bit earlier than I normally do because there's fewer showings and things like that. So my weekends are also a lot more free. So I think that's been like the big change for me, is just sort of like a more relaxed pace of life. And I think one thing I'll change is probably having more virtual initial consults with clients and things like that, because we have a lot of clients that, might be moving from further out in Maryland that want to come to Virginia or whatever. And sometimes coordinating timing is challenging. And it's really nice not commuting, sitting in DC traffic. So I think this is a change that I'll be incorporating. I never did video calls before.
Yeah, I love that one. I think that's been a big aha for a lot of people, of all of the things that we maybe didn't need to do in person before, that now we found a different solution. I'm hoping that sticks after all of this, which I'm betting all of you do too. So Eric, what's it changed for you?
I think for me, it's been twofold. Number one, I almost feel like I had been complacent. Our team had always been kind of ahead of the curve. So I had stopped digging into things. I just kept saying, "Oh, I'll get to that." It's like,
yeah.
Oh, I see Brad Allen's doing 1 million bomb videos to all these agents all over oh, that's a good idea. I'll get to that. And I had this huge list of I'll get to that's. And this has forced me to tackle those. And what it's done is put us even further ahead of our competition in our market. So that's number one. And then number two is that I used to be one of those people that would say, okay, I'm going to tackle this big, huge project and I'm going to get it all done at once. And this has kind of given me the opportunity to know that I need to step away from things. And I talk with my coach, Wayne, often about breaking things down into manageable chunks. And this, I'm more cognizant of doing that. I'm not in the office every day. So it might be stepping out and going for a walk, or just having a conversation with Valerie, my wife. And, now I'm interacting with others in just a different way. So I think that I'm a little bit better balanced. And what I'm struggling with now, and this came up a little bit before, is I was a big block scheduler before. And now it's like, okay, I need to spread these blocks better, because it's like Tuesdays I'm loaded with Zoom calls and all this other stuff. And I actually said to someone today, we need to move our regular meeting because I need to spread this out a little bit more just so I have balance in my life. So I think I'm more cognizant of that stuff right now.
That's awesome. I love that. I think, for so long I've talked about balance. You guys have heard me talk about balance versus rhythm. And balance is just this figment of our imagination of we're never truly balanced, but finding the rhythm that works for you. But I think that's such a good point, Eric, that probably is something so many of us have realized being home all the time is, wow, I maybe was way more unbalanced than I ever did realize, because I wasn't home this much. And so I didn't realize I was, focusing all my attention over here and not as much over here. What about you, Jordan? What's something that changed for you?
Honestly, I think it's just, I'm a go to the office every day type of person. I think it's just, and I'm go to my client signings, I go to my clients inspections. I'm always there and I'm always present. And I think I'm a little bit more present with my family. And it's like, okay, I can get up. I can block out my time a little bit better. I'm finding better use of my time, to where it's not just my business. It's okay, I have maybe a more well balance, I guess.
I love that. I love that. Good point. What about you, Tara?
I think going back to you said reflections that we're having. And I think one of the big ones for us has been, anybody that knows me or has heard me speak knows how passionate I am about financial freedom. Mm-hmm. And just, I think the appreciation of the very hard journey we went on about 10 years ago and being so appreciative of that now, and where appropriate, sharing our story with people, even now in this time, and encouraging people through this difficult financial time for many, and just talking about that stuff. I think that's been the biggest point of reflection for me in this whole thing.
I love that. Such a good point. Saliq, what do you got?
So, I mean, I kind of agree with what, a little bit what everybody else said. So for me, I did the best move that I made for my business was hiring a real estate coach beginning of the year. So Jan 1, I had a real estate coach. So that's actually really helped me. Plus this time has given me to work on my systems. Because last year I realized I don't have exactly where I want to be as far as my systems. So this time, not being out showing and having the weekends, a lot of the weekends that are not as busy has given me, my database is fire right now. It's the best it's ever been, which is awesome. My work-life balance, if you ask my why, it's my family. Never in my life in 6 years I've spent this much time with my family, which I'm happy about, because notice that I actually now tell myself to get my butt in the office, in my house at 9 o'clock and work, because, I'm consistently busy. I'm not I'm blessed with the clients that I already had in the pipeline, but then spending time with family, realized I want to get my parents to retire. So this is what I'm working for. So it really helped me focus on my why. And that's the best, thing to get you in the office, even though, we're not out showing as much. So I have a lot more office time, getting my systems in place and following with people, genuinely caring and touching people, So
I love that.
has been the best thing. And I see that's kind of been the summary of everybody. You're reflecting and within yourself, spending time with your family, and just hanging out with my dad yesterday. It's Ramadan, so we're all fasting. The Muslims are fasting, so it's a little time of celebration anyway. So this weekend I had him over, and I was like, man, that was when I was like, okay, I gotta get them to retire. My dad's 68, you know what I mean? I want to be the reason why he's retired. So that just kind of put the umph in me. Yesterday I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning working on stuff, and it's ideas always pile in at 12 o'clock midnight for some reason in my head. So I'm excited. I mean, I'm taking this, initially I was like, okay, I kind of got into a rut of it's a pandemic and whatnot, and kind of letting things go. And honestly, this weekend was the best jolt that I've gotten, where I'm excited. Yesterday, I mean, like I mentioned, I've been a go. Again, you're taking it, you're not overburn, bombarding, reaching out with people. Are you buying? Are you selling? That's not what I'm doing. Everybody's a chef now, right? Your Instagram feeds are full with chefs. I'm just commenting. I'm just interacting. I'm when this pandemic is over, you're going to make that for me. And that's what I'm really doing. It's being on social media, join TikTok. It's awesome. Get on there if you're not. It's fun. You're seeing what the trend is, right? You're seeing what people are doing. And
hey, I may get on TikTok just so I can watch your TikToks. I don't know.
I'm watching. I'm I'm right now. You have a few videos, but it's mainly to see where the trend's going. I've seen a bunch of realtors on there doing really well. So
cool. Kate, let's wrap it up with you. What's changed about you? What do you feel like you're going to take with you from all this?
I think just focusing on meeting people where they are, because nobody cares about a property that just sold or that's about to be listed. People care about making sure that their parents are healthy, or that their friend who's a ER nurse is safe, and just really being hyper focused on where each one of those clients are and how can I meet them there and add something to their life or make something easier for them. So just focusing really outward on where other people are is really something I've always tried to do, but I think this pandemic has really highlighted how different people's lives are. Some people are busier than ever with work. Some people, it's exactly the same as it was before. And some people have no idea if their business or their job is ever going to come back. So just finding where that person is and figuring out how I can help them.
Yeah, that's such a good point. What I realized during all this, and what I know I'll take with me, is probably a good reminder, is first off that we're all human. And so I think, you touched on something that's so important, is all of our healthcare workers, worrying about them, making sure that they're okay. Thank you, obviously, to all of them and the work they're doing to keep all of us safe. But one of the things that really touched me is how grateful I am for the networks I'm a part of. And that's part of why I organize this too, is, you know, it can be kind of lonely right now. It kind of Groundhog Day-ish. You're waking up, doing the same stuff every single day, seeing the same people, that sort of stuff. But I've taken such solace and such comfort in this network that we're a part of, and in reaching out to people. I feel more connected to more of these networks than I probably have in years, because we're actually taking the time to really, you know, have these touch bases, talk and listen to what everyone's going through. So you guys, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me and to pour into everybody else that's listening. We really
Thank you for setting
appreciate
it
it.
up. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's good to see everybody.
Good to see you
Yes,
all.
everybody stay safe and healthy and happy.
You too.
Hope to see you
Crushing it,
very
guys.
soon in real,
Awesome.
in person.
Yes, in
Yes.
real life, for
in real
sure.
life.
See you guys soon. Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye bye.